There are a few monsters in the anti-large class that are not particularly cost-effective, especially the upper tier ones like Shaggoths, or in this case, the Necrosphinxes. I'm going to see if I can make them work against a faction which certainly deserves anti-large. Got Coops, Ogres coming in, land battle with Cap. A lot of people said on a recent video I did with this mod that they was doing domination. No, this is a land battle. There's no reinforcements. This is just here to keep people from doing anything funny. Coops and I were just trying out this mode as well, practicing a few things. And I have to say off the bat that my build is somewhat experimental. I'm not a Tomb King's expert by any means, but we've got two Necrosphinxes here for Elite Anti-Large AP and Terror. As well, we've got three Sepulchral Stalkers actually up front due to the fact they have charge defense, and their heavy mass will prevent the spears from just getting absolutely rolled on the charge. If you lead with your skeletons, they're likely to just get absolutely destroyed, even by Ogre Bulls on the charge. So here we've got the mass blocking up front, and then they can then follow up and support. Kotep on foot leading the way, a Bone Giant here as well to shoot any high value targets, keep honest, potential Iron Blasters and such. Coops didn't bring any Iron Blasters. He does have the Crusher's Regiment of Renown. The Sky Striders, though, is going to be a great target for me to shoot at. He's got 4 Bull's dual weapons, Gnoblars, a Tyrant, and a Fire Belly. Lead Belchers as well, 2 of them, and then plenty of Saber Tusks scattered around flanks, 4 in total. So we're going to get things rolling here. One thing to note about the Fire Belly as it pertains to this particular battle. The Regiment of Renown Sphinx of Usek here does have fire damage, as does, actually no, the Bone Giant is just magic damage, okay? But the Fire Belly does have fire resistance, something I didn't actually realize. He does have a straight 40% fire resistance, so that might come into play later, but initially you can see here that my Sepulchral Stalkers kind of got drawn away, and this is what I'm talking about. The skeletons just get absolutely crushed on the charge, even by regular bulls. We were able to terrify away the Gnoblars fairly quickly, but I pulled back the Sepulchral Stalkers to try and shoot. Might have been better to just leave them in melee combat, but at the very least, they're going to get some value from their shooting attack here. The Crushers collapse on the non-Regiment of Renown Necrosphinx. They're going to try and do some serious damage there. Saber Tusks are also moving in, but the mass block of the Sepulchral Stalkers is effective and prevents them from just running absolutely wild, getting on the Bone Giant. So defense mostly secured at this point. This Necrosphinx is doing a decent job. It's managed to kill off some Ogres along with the shooting there, terrify them away. Certainly the Terror in and of itself is useful, but you can see the one that's matched up on the Regiment of Renown Crushers. Health is dropping alarmingly fast, so we're going to pull him away. Over here, try and Terror route off the Saber Tusks. Are they immune to psychology? Actually, no, they're not, so we could Terror route them. And in fact, we do Terror route a few already. A little bit of Burning Head there to debuff the leadership. Maybe force those Sepulchral Stalkers into crumbling, get rid of some of the skeletons as well. And unfortunately, I'm regretting, the number of skeletons I brought here. And just in total, the number of support units was not spectacular. There's no Necrotex to heal or provide that very powerful melee blinded effect. But even still, the defenses are doing a decent job holding. Sepulchral Stalkers definitely are taking an alarming amount of damage, but managed to surround the Tyrant with the Sepulchral Stalkers Regiment of Renown. Kotep getting in a few swings and kicks there. Man, it's quite limber for such an ancient old dude. Anyway, yeah, I do manage to rout the Tyrant, which is pretty nice. I really don't have a way of shutting down the Lead Belchers for the time being, though, and Bone Giant is kind of getting involved in melee now, which is not something super ideal for me. If I can continue to shoot the Crushers or shoot those Lead Belchers, that's going to be great, but yeah, having a tough time just getting overwhelmed by numbers now. Definitely wishing I had, again, more just support infantry to scatter around. Apologies about bumping my mic stand here a little bit, but anyway, I'm going to summon up some Ushabti, mostly to try and finish off the Sky Striders here. I really want to get rid of those Crushers in order to really secure my 2 remaining single entities here, because this one Necrosphinx, unfortunately, has lost the battle against the Crushers. Saber Tusks also in here supporting, but man, gotta love these stone constructs duking it out with the feral beasts of the Ogres. Crushers are so huge. Oh man. Ushabti look positively tiny in comparison. Yeah, the Lead Belchers have some line of sight issues due to the slope here. They actually come forward and get involved in melee, but this is the point when I was not remembering that the This guy had fire resistance, the fire belly. This is actually a pretty bad engagement. If the Sphinx of Usek had actually come all the way over and attacked the Sky Striders while that other one was still alive, we maybe could have finished them off. But as it is right now, they still got 5 unit models online. They should be able to get a decent amount of healings. Definitely still threatening, but we are starting to shatter some units. Local Stalkers, Regiment Renown also back alive. Unfortunately, though, that massive Noblars is really something that they will be very inefficient at fighting. Given how low their HP is, they're not going to be able to finish that Tyrant off. And just in general, Koops is starting to take the lead, although I'm keeping it close in terms of army damage value. I just don't have much left on the field, and what I do have is not going to be able to support each other very well. Summon Dushabti is almost gone, and that's a significant amount of value as well. Kotep now getting surrounded. I don't have anything that can respond to this, and it's pretty much all single entities for me, so we'll fast forward through the end. Kotep meets his fate. Bone Giant gets charged down by the Crushers, and the final Sphinx of Usek just completely fails to kill the Fire Belly and gets ground down over time, shot to death by the Lead Belchers, and there it is. Victory for Koops, and yeah, experimentation failed, but I feel like I learned some things here. Definitely, I would cut the Sphinx of Usek, maybe still bring the regular Necro Sphinx. Fire Bellies are not a crazy common pick here, but I also don't see a ton of benefit from bringing the Regiment of Renown. It is a decent cost upgrade. It's not super cheap. We'll look at that in just a second, but yeah, and then with those funds, bring, you know, a Necrotect or 2 on foot with the heal, possibly with the blinded effect as well. That'll also allow me to bring in maybe like 1 more Skeleton Spear, a couple Skeleton Warriors, just to provide a little bit more kind of passive support units to help against the Noblars and the various other stuff, just give a bit more width here. But definitely the mass of Sepulchral Stalkers seems fairly promising. Regiment Renown in particular was able to do quite well, but then of course they also are constructs, so with the support of the Necrotechs, they could do even better here. But it's definitely interesting. I do like the 1 Necrosphinx for some mobile punch and terror, but I just think here they didn't have enough support to really perform, and they're not world beaters by any means. They're not going to do too much on their own, especially against a faction like Ogres. The Crushers, of course, very scary. End up just working down the big monster. Not really a surprise. Lead Belchers also do a pretty decent job. I know Koops is not the biggest fan of them, but he managed to use them to pretty good effect here. The Bulls also trade decently in some situations. The Noblars, I was surprised. Maybe, again, this goes back to more skeletons. Just having some extra numbers to try and deal with them. Make sure they stay scared and stay away from the fights that are important. Saber Tusks, super cost effective. I didn't really have any cavalry counter for them, but this is more of a tall build, if you will, but interesting. Yeah, the Bone Giant managed to pay for itself. Did a good job of protecting him, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Excuse me. But if we go ahead and take a look here, I go into this. Come into Tomb King, excuse me. Okay, so yeah, it's a 350 point upgrade, which is fairly significant for the Regiment of Renown. And the base one, if we go ahead and rank it up to rank 9, yeah, I mean, you are obviously saving over a regular rank 9, so the extra stats help. But 50 melee defense is nice, but it doesn't come with much else. I mean, a little bit of fire resistance of its own is nice, but really not a lot that has flaming damage from the Ogres you'd have to worry about. This would be much more applicable against, like, Khorne. But, yeah. So cutting that, what is that, 2,350? That's easily, you know, that gives us about 2,025 left. And then if you come in here and look, Necrotect, so if we cut most things and then come back in, we'll grab Restore. And we need to keep this guy, if we're going to get 2 plus the Spear, keep this guy under 1,000. So the Embraces of the Sun are also probably the next one I would get. And then the extra armor and missile resistance might be decent, actually, against the Ogres. Particularly, Sepulchral Stalkers have 80 armor, which is pretty decent, but an extra 10 for them actually would go quite a long way. Yeah, only 80 armor on them, so maybe you pick up one of them with the Stone Shaper for extra armor and missile resistance, and then the other one you can pick up the other buff for melee attack, armor piercing. Plus 5 melee attack, again, it helps. More than anything, it really helps the Sepulchral Stalkers, given that their melee attack is fairly low, only 22, so that would definitely be a benefit to them. And then, yeah, these 3 together, I mean, doing this even saves you a little bit to then put somewhere else, but just that much extra, a little bit of support. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, if there wasn't a big monster to hunt, Oops would have deployed his resources differently, so it's tough to say for certain, but it's definitely an interesting matchup I need to explore a bit more. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.